What do you got to say?
Today we picked up with the scientific evidence again. The lab director for the Sam Houston Regional Crime Lab testified. He basically spoke about how many drinks she had. He was able to use a scientific formula and to show that she was as much as 4 times over the legal limit at the time she had the fatal crash through the scientific evidence. In addition, he spoke about the drugs that she had taken, specifically the Valium, and he testified that the Valium had a negligible effect, if any, on her state of intoxication. Now that's important because the defense was claiming at the time that she was slipped drugs by somebody else, and that's what caused this whole thing to happen. That's been their defense from the get-go for the last 13.
Okay, go ahead.
After the regional crime lab expert testified about her level of intoxication, that she would have been significantly intoxicated before 11 p.m., the defense had a conversation with the judge where they elected to change her plea from not guilty to guilty. That was somewhat unexpected. It's pretty unusual when something like that happens. Usually people maintain their plea throughout the entire trial. However, the judge had no choice. We had no choice. We had to accept her guilty plea and proceed with the continuation of the trial. So after that, we continued with our case by putting on the medical examiner to talk about the significant and huge nature of the injuries, as well as the cause and mechanism of death. And from that, we put on a few additional experts, but we started the punishment evidence where instead of focusing just on the night in question, we're starting to focus on basically her entire history where she's broken the law and abused drugs and or alcohol. So that's a portion of the case that we're in right now, is proving her background and the number of times that she's broken the law, consumed alcohol illegally, and other drugs.
What kind of, as far as laws broken, what all have you got so far on that?
Well, so far we've alleged that she smoked marijuana on several occasions. There's also the fact that she's committed other offenses in relation to that, and there's some text messages and Facebook posts which are in evidence, which will show pictures of her engaging in that sort of conduct. Mr. James, the prosecutor, also introduced evidence that they were attempting to hide evidence from this jury, namely some of her Facebook posts. But fortunately, we were able to recover most of that, and we're going to present that to the jury as well.
Now, they heard today the jail recording of her, between her and her family. Tell me about that a little bit.
The jail recording was presented to the jury today, and basically the purpose of that was to show that she expressed no sympathy for the victims during the first few days after she was arrested, and she was mostly concerned with her well-being and her injuries and not concerned about the victims.
Okay. What about the number of accidents when they brought the motor vehicle report up?
Mr. James, the other prosecutor working on the case, also introduced her driving history. Her driving history shows several crashes in it where she was found to be the at-fault operator, and as a result of that, we thought it was relevant to introduce some of those crashes and some testimony from those crashes. They weren't serious. There were no injuries as a result of those crashes, but we think it's relevant to show a pattern of behavior or conduct.
All right, and tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we're starting up. We rested today with our evidence and case in chief on guilt and punishment, and the defense will begin presenting their evidence tomorrow in reference to this case. We're not sure what it is, but we'll be ready for it, and we're going to expect closing arguments sometime tomorrow, shortly after lunch.
All right.